Hey, hey, hey. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Make Sense with Your Money with me, Cynthia Hurley. Please excuse my tardiness, but I am familiarizing myself with my new system. So I am just a few minutes late. However, I'm glad to be back on with you this evening. I know a lot of people were probably out, you're doing your Christmas shopping, preparing for the last minute gifts and what you're gonna buy, who you're gonna buy it for. I understand. I completely understand. But for those of you who are going to join me, welcome. We are continuing I'm continuing the series on bankruptcy and debt and what is the difference between the two. You know, most people are suffering. Well, I don't want to say suffering, but most people are experiencing some type of hardship right now. Okay, there's a lot of things going on in the economy. Uh, you know, People are, still recovering from COVID, the effects of things being shut down and, restarted, reopened. And as a result, finances are being affected. And my goal in this series is to break down the areas surrounding bankruptcy and also debt management, debt counseling, and so that people can understand, all right, the language, and better have a better understanding of the process, and how it works, whether they should file, whether they should not file, what the options are, okay. And that's what the series is going to be about. So let's get started with tonight's show. From student loans to credit cards, paying off debt can be an enormous struggle for a lot of people, right? And most of the times, when people are going through things, they try to make a way. We all try to make a way. We try to figure out how we're going to pay this and how we're going to pay that. But as the debt piles up, it becomes overwhelming. And, we want to see if we can get in some kind of outside help, you know, in terms of helping us or showing us how to get out of debt. But in looking for solutions, and there are solutions. And this is why I, purpose to do this series, because there are solutions, whether it be debt management, debt settlement, or bankruptcy, right? People often get all the debt management and the debt counseling confused. Nobody gets bankruptcy confused. They know what bankruptcy is. They just don't understand the nuances of it. But with debt, they get debt management and debt counseling and debt negotiation and debt consolidation. They get all of these terms confused. And there are fundamental differences between all of them. And that's what we're going to talk about. All right? Now, a lot of people tend to stay away from bankruptcy. And that is because of all of the negative connotations that come with it. All right? But when you get all the facts about bankruptcy, okay, you can be better informed. You can make a better decision, so that you'll know what all your options are at the end, right? So the first thing we're going to look at is debt settlement. Now, what exactly is debt settlement? Now, you when you turn on your TV, you have a lot of companies that are advertising debt settlement, right? And they make it sound like it's just as easy as I don't know what, right? So you may hear, debtcounseling.org. But anyway, debt settlement is basically the process of negotiating your debt with creditors, right? To reduce the amount that you owe on all of your debts. Unsecured debts, I might add. That means that it's not your car loan, it's not your house, it's not a secured debt. Debt settlement companies only work with unsecured debt. And what they do is they agree to work with your creditors to negotiate a reduced amount. Now, I want to really stress how it works, okay? How does it work? The debt settlement company basically let me tell you how it works. They basically set up an account, right? And it's called an escrow account. And basically what happens with that escrow account is that you will make payments into this escrow account. This escrow account is then going to be used to pay off of your creditors, right? Now, step number one. In order for you to be qualified for this program, all of your debts has to be in a collection status. That's number one. Because you can't, you're not eligible for the program if your account is not in collections. Now, if your account is not in collections, then guess what the debt settlement company does? They don't tell you this half of the time because a lot of them are not that honest, unfortunately. That's why if you do decide, or if you are dealing with them, you should have checked their record. You should have checked them with the Better Business Bureau to find out what does their record say about them, right? But anyway, what they do is because they now, you would have to make them the primary contact, but you would have to stop paying your bills. So now, let's just say that you decided that you were going to go with them, right? They set up this account. They tell you, okay, you make your payments into this account. We're going to negotiate with all of your creditors. They get a list of all of your creditors, right? They make you send in the bills. They give you a power of attorney that you have to sign. So now you make them the one in charge. So they are now going to contact your creditors, send that letter to them, let them know that they're not supposed to now contact you. The debt settlement company is the one that is going to have the power of attorney over your debts. Now, they begin to negotiate, okay, a lower amount on the entire debt. This is what they do on the entire debt. So let's just say you owe $25,000 in debt. Their goal is to negotiate those debts down to half. Okay? Now, an example. Let's say you discover $14,000. They're able to negotiate down to $8,000. Right? So they work out how much that monthly total is going to be once they negotiate all those debts down to a certain amount. And by the way, they work all of this out because they have relationships with each of these creditors because they've been doing this for a long time. They got relationships with Macy's, Discover, American Express, Target, Best Buy, whoever you name. They got relationships with them. So it's easy for them to call their contacts and make negotiations on your behalf, right? What you do now is you begin to make payments into that escrow account until you have enough to pay off Macy's. You keep on making those payments and then until you have enough to pay off Discover. You get where I'm going with this? They determine the monthly amount you ought to put into that escrow account. Because however much you can afford to put into that escrow account is going to determine the length of time it takes for you to get out of debt. Because remember, I don't know how much debt you have. I don't know how many accounts you have. But that amount is going to, your monthly payment is going to determine how often and how long it's going to take you to get out of debt. Of course, before all of this negotiation starts, they will let you know, but typically it's between 3 to 5 years, depending on your amount of debt. But don't forget, there are fees associated on top of what you owe the creditor, because y'all know the debt settlement company has to get paid. Y'all do know that, right? Okay. Well, how much do they get paid? Well, it depends on the amount of the debt. That's what it depends on. It depends on the amount of the debt. If you owe, I don't know, maybe 50,000, they can charge maybe 25%, okay, of the total debt, and that's what you would have to pay them. So that is also calculated into that monthly payment. That's why it may take 3 to 5 years to pay it off. This is why in my first video, I actually went over some of the options of bankruptcy, which I'm going to be covering in the series to follow. This is why I likened debt management to filing bankruptcy, Chapter 13, because Chapter 13 is also a debt management plan. You are basically paying your money to the trustee every month, and now the trustee for the bankruptcy court is now paying your creditors. Same thing. The payment plan is 3 to 5 years. So I liken debt settlement to bankruptcy, and this is why I chose to give you what the alternatives are, so that people don't think I'm just trying to push bankruptcy. I'm not trying to push bankruptcy, but they're basically like the same thing. But what I'm doing is I'm giving you advice that will make sense. Okay? I want you to be able to make sense. Sense with your money, sense with your decisions. Okay? Because it affects you in the long run. All right? So, number one, debt settlement is not as easy as you may think it is. Why? Well, because, when I say it's not as easy, debt settlement companies, debt management companies, debt consolidation companies, I'm using this term interchangeably because they all are familiar. But what they do is they are very good at making consumers think that the process is simple. And the process is really not that simple, because you have to understand what you're getting into. You have to know what your monthly payments are going to be. You have to understand how long it's going to take you to get out of the debt. You need to know what the pros and cons are. All right. So now let's look at some of the pros. Okay. What are the pros? Well, the pros is that you are eliminating your debts, but remember, you're eliminating your debts, but at what cost? Okay? At what cost? Can you afford to keep up with the monthly payment that they're charging you every month? So let's just say you were struggling to pay your bills on your own. Okay? You were struggling to pay your bills on your own. You went and you decided to work with a debt settlement company. So now you were paying $300 a month for your debts on your own. Now with the debt settlement company, your payment has went up to $500. Can you really afford that? Can you? Okay. Not only that, this is a commitment that you have to stay committed to for 3 to 5 years. Can you do that? These are the things that you have to think about. We already know your credit is going to take a hit. You shouldn't even be worried about that, because your credit already took a hit before you went to the debt settlement company, right? Penalties and interest, right? You want to actually inquire about that with these debt settlement companies, because now remember, while you're waiting, even though they negotiated this debt, you're not paying the debt all off at one time. It's taking you 3 to 5 years. You want to make sure that the penalties and the interest is locked in, right? Like it's not going to continue to accrue as you continue to build up this amount to pay. You have to ask that. You can't just assume it. You need to ask the debt settlement companies this. That's if you decide to go with them. But this is some of the things that you need to be aware of. There's no guarantee for success. Why am I saying that? Well, there's no guarantee that these debt settlement companies can definitely get a negotiated rate, right? A lot of these debt settlement companies, they have bad reputations. And also, you need to check their record. You need to check their record. Check their record with the Better Business Bureau and also with the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. You need to check their record and make sure that when they agree or when they tell you that they have made a settlement with your creditors, you need to get that in writing. You need to get that in writing to make sure that you see what the number that they're telling you, the amount that they're telling you, that's the amount that was agreed between the two, so that you are well informed. Okay. What else? The next, I would say pros and cons. I'm going over the pros and cons of debt settlement. Is that, of course, the debt may be taxable. I wouldn't be too much concerned about that. As long as you're getting the debt out of your hair. And sometimes they don't even send those 1099 forms. So I wouldn't be too much concerned about that. Now, you can also do this on your own. Well, you can't. When I say do this on your own, if you have some debts and you are in a collection status and you can maybe call your creditor and say, listen, here's the situation, this is what I'm facing, this is what I'm dealing with, this is what I have, will you accept this? Now, if the account has not gone to a collection agency, then your chances of getting a settlement are 0 to none. Okay? Because you get a better advantage of it when you are dealing with a collection agency. However, because debt settlement companies have relationships with these creditors, they have a better chance of working with the creditors directly. Now, a creditor directly, if you deal with them yourself, what they will do is they'll close your account, or sometimes they may work with you, and they'll let you pay, the account off, and they agree to accept your payments. But it won't be a negotiated amount. You're going to pay that account off in full. They're not going to give you a settlement amount. Okay, so I just want to make sure you understand that. You can't do it on your own, but you'll be paying the interest. You'll be paying everything in full. There's no breaks. Because they want their money. All right. If you have any questions, you can type them in the chat because I'm answering questions, right? But now I want to go over debt management, because debt management is sort of similar to debt settlement, but it's a little different. Just a little different. Not too much different. But now, debt management companies are different in that they are administered by non-profit credit counseling agencies, right? As opposed to debt settlement companies, which are for-profit. Debt management companies are non-profit. Debt management companies also negotiate with your creditors, but the difference with them is that they negotiate with your creditors to reduce the interest rate and the fees. That's the difference. Debt settlement, they negotiate the full balance. Debt management negotiates and reduces the interest rates and also the fees, okay? Or either sometimes lower monthly payments. But the goal is to get you lower monthly payments. That's why they attack the interest rates and also the fees. You still pay off the principal, right? Your credit score is really not impacted as much because they go right in for the gusto. Because they're not trying to negotiate the actual amount, as I said. They're trying to actually deal with the interest rates and also the fees. And then they also work with you to come up with like a workable budget. This is what debt management companies do. All right. So you need to know the difference, and as well, just as you're gonna, if you're gonna decide to work with one, you need to also look them up too. Better Business Bureau. You can't trust none of them these days because, you know, unfortunately, some of them are unscrupulous, and what should I say? Even though they are monitored by, not the Better Business Bureau, they're not monitored by the Better Business Bureau. They are monitored by under the governorship of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, who looks out for us. But, they take advantage of people that don't really know, because a lot of people don't know. They don't know the difference between the two, and people sign up for these things, and unfortunately, are taken advantage of. All right? So now, what do you look for when you're dealing with a debt management company? Well, debt management company, like I said, you have to make sure that they have a good rating. Okay, you want to make sure that they are certified because they're nonprofits. You want to make sure that they're certified. Okay, you want to make sure that they're licensed and they're bonded. And you want to make sure that now they also give you the option, a debt management company, of once they negotiate your rates and your interest rates and your fees, they also, right, you can also send them, they can work out a payment plan for your overall debt after they negotiate your rates and your fees. You send them this monthly payment, right, because they're working out a better payment for you, and then they send it to each creditor, which can also take 3 to 5 years. Again, this is very similar to Chapter 13. And actually, when a lender looks at your credit reports, let me repeat that. When a lender looks at your credit reports, and I'm talking about any lender, they will, if you're in some type of debt management program or debt counseling program, they liken it to a Chapter 13 bankruptcy, because all three of them, debt management, debt counseling, debt settlement, and bankruptcy, Chapter 13 bankruptcy, all of the features are similar. You have to give your money over to like a trustee, right? With the bankruptcy court, you're giving your money over to a trustee. With the debt settlement company, you giving your money over to the debt settlement company. Somebody has to govern your money in order to make the payments. So now, why am I reiterating the fact that it's likened to a Chapter 13? Because if you want to go through all of this, you might as well just wipe the debt out. That's why I'm saying you might as well just do a Chapter 7 and just wipe it out. Why go through all? They're all negative. They're all negative. Each service is negative. They all have a stain on your credit report for 3 to 5 years. Bankruptcy, a Chapter 13 bankruptcy, they say 7 years, but bankruptcies can be removed. And I'm going to tell you another thing. With a Chapter 7 bankruptcy versus a Chapter 13, the payment plan, which I liken to the debt management, which I liken to the debt settlement, right? 3 to 5 years. So you have to wait 3 to 5 years before you can even begin to rebound with your credit. You have to wait. So that means you can't even begin a fresh start. No, you have to wait 3 to 5 years. Well, with a Chapter 7 bankruptcy, you don't have to do that. Fresh start, new beginnings. New beginnings. Why wait 3 to 5 years for something that you can do immediately? Am I advocating bankruptcy? I'm not advocating bankruptcy. I'm just basically sharing some knowledge to help you to make sense in with your financial decisions. That's all I'm doing. For you to make sense. Let me turn on this. Turn on the chat, because I don't know if anybody's any questions. I'm not sure, but it makes sense for you to make sense with your financial decisions. Why be tied up for 3 to 5 years when you can just eliminate all of that? Why? Doesn't make sense, right? So I'm going to go to a quick commercial break, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to finish. Nope, that was not the commercial. That wasn't a commercial. This is the commercial. Hello. Hi, I'm Cynthia from the Make Sense with Your Money radio show. And I want to talk to you just a minute about protecting your assets. You know, we protect those things that we believe are important to us, such as our homes. Well, the mortgage company will not let you leave the closing table without making sure that the asset that they're about to put into your hands, they won't let you leave that table unless they know that the asset is covered, right? Cars, vehicles. When we purchase a vehicle, we are not allowed to drive that vehicle off the lot unless that vehicle is protected, right? So we have to have insurance for both of those things. These are things that we believe are important to us. Most of us have insurance on our cell phones because we believe our cell phones are important to us. But I have a question for you. Do you have insurance on the most number one asset? And that is, of course, you. Are you covered in case of unexpected death? Are you covering the most important asset, and that is yourself? You know, most people are not covered for 3 reasons. Either they don't understand the insurance, they believe that they can't afford it, or they just flat out believe that they don't need it. Well, I'm inviting you to have a free consultation with me so we can dispel all 3 of those myths. Okay? We can sit down and discuss, number 1, why protecting you is very important. If you have anybody that depends on you, then you need life insurance. And you can get life insurance for about $1 a day, right? If you buy coffee every day, Starbucks coffee is like, what, $3 and change? You can afford life insurance. So don't believe the hype. Don't believe anything about insurance unless you sit down with someone and you hear it from the master's mouth. What I mean by master, someone who actually works in the industry and know what the rates and terms are and can give you the facts, such as myself. I'll be able to sit down with you, explain to you what different insurances are in the marketplace, which one would be better for you, and also customize it so that it won't be a burdensome to you. You ought to get something that you can afford. Myth number 2, let's expel that. Most people feel like they are uninsurable, but that's not true, because there are insurance policies designed that do not ask you anything about health questions, because they know that some people have health challenges. And there's always a way around that. There's always a policy that can fit your needs. So no matter what your situation is, you are insurable. So let's sit down and have a free consultation and let me go over those things with you so I can help you to better understand what insurance is and how it can benefit you. You know, this is a way that we transfer generational wealth. And we can talk about all that when we sit down together. So my office is standing by, waiting to get your call at 1-800 818-1029. Don't let ignorance stop you from protecting the most number one asset, and that is yourself. Again, the telephone number is 800-818-1029. Look forward to speaking with you. Okay, I'm back. My number has changed. It's 646-945-4998. 646-945-4998. Okay? But anyway, getting back to what we were discussing about bankruptcy, let's look at some other alternatives as well, in case whoever may want to decide that. I don't know if you can read that, but basically it's debt settlement, debt consolidation, right? Credit counseling. You can borrow money from family. You can restructure. Do maybe what am I saying? For the mortgage, do what is it? Refinance on your mortgage, and even that, you want to, if you can do that, you want to sit down with somebody and make sure that makes sense. You know, do a refinance on your mortgage. If you can eliminate your debts that way, that may make sense. But the one thing about eliminating your debts is with debt settlement companies and debt management companies is that they do not negotiate with student loans and those debts that are secured. And I think I did mention that. Even in bankruptcy, student loans are, they like a good old pair of leather shoes. You can't get rid of them. The bankruptcy court, they're not allowed to discharge bankruptcy. However, there is a law that is on the table, and they are revisiting this law to put in place that will allow student loans to be discharged in bankruptcy. It's about time. It is about time that they do something with these student loans. Okay? It is about time. So, for the sake of all of those who have student loans, I really hope that this new law that they're introducing to Congress and whoever has to approve it, that they will allow student loans to be discharged in bankruptcy. And, because even though Chapter 7 discharges all of your debt, that is the one debt that you will be left with. And I don't know if many of you know, a lot of people are in financial disarray because of medical debt. Medical debt is the number one debt that causes people and drives people to file bankruptcy because they're not able to afford it. There was a series on CNN about 2 weeks ago, and I don't even remember the name, but I would encourage all of you who have student loans to watch it, because it tells you what the battle is going on behind the scenes and how they're trying to eliminate it, and different laws that they're trying to bring into different they're trying to bring things into law to change the way the student loan structure is set up, if you will, so that it can be more, it's like a yoke on your neck. You're never able to get rid of it. And there's a fight going on behind the scenes. There's a fight going on behind the scenes to change all of that. So I would encourage all of you who have not watched this series, well, it's actually one is a documentary, to watch it. Okay? So now, that is going to wrap up, okay, this show. I hope that you were able to take some information and use it. Please like and share. Maybe you may not be able to use the information, but somebody else will. Okay. And just make sure that you investigate all of your options before you make a decision. And you don't even have to, even with what I'm saying, because I'm not giving you everything. I'm giving you enough to help you to make a decision, but then go on for further research, if you will, so that when you do decide to make your decision, it will be the right one based off of facts. Okay? Now, before I leave, I want to basically put up my information so that you know how to reach me. I think my logo is in the way, but my website is www.zero2superhero.com. Okay, my address is located at One World Trade Center, but the office number is 212-220-6550. And also, this is a cell phone, but it's still my office number. It's my office number, 646-945-4998. You can reach me via social media or follow me on social media, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn. My handle is Make Sense with Money. And I'm on every Wednesday at 7 p.m. And it's live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. Okay? So that is going to be all for this evening. I want to thank all of you who are watching and those who are going to watch. And I'll see you again next week, God's willing. Have a blessed evening.